Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You have the right to remain well entertained. What's a dark secret / questionable practice in your profession which we regular folks would know nothing about? You know the people who write instruction manuals or user guides in things you buy? Half the time, they've never even seen or touched the product. Some dude just sends us pictures, a rough description of how it's supposed to work, and that's it. ETA, wow, this took off. To all the IT dudes of Reddit. I actually browse the brand-specific subreddits to figure out what to add to my user guides because that's how little info my company provides me. Thanks for making my life easier. Instruction manual writer here, although for software. You know how there are always frequently asked questions? I have no idea what's frequently asked. I make all of them up. Young kids talk to their teachers / coaches / counselors / principals about their parents. A lot. And kids pick up on all the dirty little secrets. 6 Yo, I have 2 daddies. Me, that's lovely, darling. Now let's play some piano. 6 Yo, one of my daddies goes on long business trips and then mummy and I go live with my other daddy while he's gone. Me, oh. Let's play some piano. We know it's not our businesses but I feel bad for daddy one. Many hotels often sell rooms multiple times. Used to work in airport hotel. Knowing that chances are some guests won't arrive due to missed or delayed flights, so we sell more rooms that we have. You have guests checking out from 2:30 a.m. due to early flights, so even though the room is technically still theirs, you quickly and sometimes poorly clean the room and tell the arriving unexpected guest or new booking there's a random computer issue and to wait 20 minutes and then check them into the departed guest's room praying. Multiple times I've had to run a kettle under a cold tap to hide the fact the previous guest used it 15 minutes before the new guest arrives. Airlines do this crap with airplane seats too. I once had a connecting flight while heading back to college which was, luckily, not a long flight and I had plenty of time. They pulled this crap and initially wanted someone to forego their seat for a $50 coupon. I let it go up to a $250 direct check and then volunteered, and they still tried to go with credit toward a ticket. I only took the check and got paid that amount for a couple hours watching Netflix in the airport. Not currently my profession but ghost writers in fiction. John Grisham, Danielle Steele, James Patterson, Janet Ivanovich, etc., all those big names with a neat bestseller every year use ghostwriters who are never credited or mentioned. It's barely even a secret. Ivanovich and Patterson don't need ghostwriters, every book is the exact same format. It's annoying. Haha. That's literally kind of the point of the ghost writers, same quality with the same name on the cover. Many bills are literally written by lobbyists or special interest organizations. I have seen my boss give bill language to a state legislator and then found the same language in print a few days later several times. The bill may change in committee but usually not drastically against the original intent. I'll second this. I wish every American knew about the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC. Their propaganda sidekick State Policy Network, SPN, and the tremendous damage they have inflicted on our democracy. No one who has watched them in action over past 20+ years could be too surprised about Trump presidency. If anyone is interested in learning about ALEC basics, Bill Moyer's report is good. Who/how/why overview. It has a strong bias. It's clear he's no ALEC fan, but it's spot on factually. Sometime we learn something the day before we teach it to you. Whoa. This really hit a chord with people. Lots of shared experiences. It's great. I've had a couple teachers say they were also learning parts of a course as they were teaching it to us. Actually made me feel a little better about asking questions about the subject. Yup. It's not uncommon. I always have to reassure new instructors. They always feel like they need to know the whole breadth of the course before they start teaching. You just have to stay a week ahead of the students. Air traffic control. Cue the Breaking Bad jokes. A diagnosis of virtually any mental illness, and a diagnosis of many physical conditions, is disqualifying and will end your career. For that reason, people avoid doctors like the plague. It's like that in reactor department in the US Navy, too. Undiagnosed and untreated mental illness? If it's not in your medical record, it doesn't officially exist and therefore is not a problem. Get treatment for your mental health problems? Now you're not allowed to do anything related to nuclear power anymore, and everyone hates you for not pulling your weight. That's why I didn't re-enlist. Customs broker here. Every day hundreds of thousands of containers and air shipments arrive into United States territory. The volume of customs entries entered every day is staggering. When we get licensed to be a customs broker, we are trained and tested not just on knowledge, but ethics. We even take a pledge to partner with CBP to uphold the law, and cooperate with them should we come across anything suspicious. Why so much emphasis on this? Customs can't actually screen everything coming in. I'm oversimplifying, but CBP basically works on the honor system. You file an entry saying what the shipment is, and they just take your word for it and release it. This happens hundreds of thousands of times a day. Maybe at best customs can screen 3 to 7% of what's coming in, the rest of just wave through. Former British customs officer here, can confirm. The amount of international trade is staggering and no government is able to do a 100% inspection on all the freight that arrives. So we rely on past history, shady customs brokers included Lowell, Intel, etc. to target our efforts. And no, I'm not going to divulge anything more, so don't bother asking. So, yeah, smuggling happens, whether that's goods, drugs or people. But when we do find something, expect the world to drop on your head. Government wants its revenue, boys and girls, and it doesn't like being cheated of them. Or finding 30+ dead people on a shipping container. At all. Have you ever started filling out a form for a quote on something, insurance website, or literally anything, and then changed your mind and said, nah, I don't want to give them my personal information, and then abandoned the form before pressing submit? If you think that stopped them from getting your personal information, it didn't. Most companies looking to capture leads will capture your info in real time as you enter it into a form. The submit button is just there to move you to the next step, not to actually send your information to the company. Yep. One filled out applications for jobs, and decided I didn't want to finish/work there. Never hit next, never hit submit, although I clicked on a button on the previous page which sent me to the next page, which was in a new window, and had my phone number, name, and address. I get an email, finish your application. The following hours. Whoop-dee-doo, I got a call the next few days later about the job I applied for. Yeah, no. I declined it. It was Chick-fil-A, for anyone wondering. How many people who work with children, teachers, childcare workers, etc., don't follow confidentiality guidelines? Gossiping about families with coworkers, talking about children's home situations, creeping families' social media, etc. Any people who are supposed to follow confidentiality guidelines. Both my parents work in the penitentiary. Dad is a prison warden, Mom is a secretary at the probation office. I grew up with discussions of the lives of inmates and people on probation around the table. My parents would also, discreetly, point out to me people in the street they wanted me to avoid, the sex offenders, kitty diddlers, and druggies. I worked in a restaurant and they told me the sweet old regular the waitresses liked so much is an absolute pervert. My dad told me he'd make holes in his pockets to touch himself. I'm sure most know this, but 99.9% of advertisements involving real people is acted and scripted. Even when the people being interviewed are indeed non-actors, they are prompted on what to say. For example, recently we interviewed a guy who won a car from one of our brands. First round, interviewer, congrats on your win. How do you feel? Guy, really great. It's a real surprise, to be honest. Thank you. After several rounds and coaching, interviewer, congrats on your win. How do you feel? Guy, I feel so lucky to have won a brand car. The design and handling is first rate, and I'm most impressed by the fuel consumption. I will definitely keep on holding brand as my top car of choice. I work in logistics/trucking/rail/ocean/air freight. Everyone lies about everything, all the time. Logistics is similar to waiting on your drug dealer. I'll be there in 5 minutes, hearing "T'll be 5 minutes" is worse than "T'll be an hour." In both industries. At a very large pizza chain restaurant that remains widely popular, we had these perforated pans for thin crust and stuffed crust pizzas. They'd get washed in the dishwasher by the hundreds per day, and at least half would still have burnt cheese and crap on them. Well, they were just stacked to dry. When making new pizzas in those pans, sometimes the pans that were left to dry overnight grew bits of mold around the burnt cheese. We were told just to put the dough on top because otherwise we'd never keep up with the orders if we rewashed everything. The manager said, "Don't worry, it gets cooked." Oh gosh. I worked at a couple pizza places, 2 big chain ones. At one, the grease was unreal. The dishwasher basically had to be scraped once a day to get the thick film off. They didn't have an actual dishwasher either, just made the drivers clean them, and the drivers didn't want to do the dishes, so they just tossed them in there haphazardly. I can't tell you how many times I'd find pans with a layer of oil still in them and have to send a bunch back through. My husband worked there for a short period long after I quit. He said he caught one of the managers dipping plates in the sanitizing water and just sending them back out. Disgusting. The second big chain was all hand washed and done properly, but I think that was more specific store based than anything. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.